Good morning, everyone. Please, everyone be seated. Judge Frank Caprio stands behind his bench in courtroom 3A of the Providence Municipal Court. It's November 27th, 2024, 10:15 in the morning, and the case he's about to handle is one that will restore your faith in the justice system. Let me tell you, in all my years on this bench, and I've been doing this for a very long time, I've seen just about everything you can imagine. But every once in a while, a case comes through these doors that reminds me why I still come to work every single day. The judge pauses, looking at the young woman standing before him. Now, before we begin, I want to make something very clear. This courtroom is a place of respect. It's a place where we seek justice. But we do it with dignity, we do it with compassion, and we do it with fairness. He leans forward, his voice growing stronger. I don't care if you're rich. I don't care if you're poor. I don't care what your last name is or who your father is. In this courtroom, everyone is equal under the law. That's how it works. That's how it should work. And that's how it will always work as long as I'm sitting in this chair. So who is standing before Judge Caprio today? Her name is Madison Elizabeth Thornton. She's 23 years old, born March 12, 2001. And she's the daughter of Robert Thornton, CEO of Thornton Industries, one of the largest real estate development companies in Rhode Island with a valuation of over $400 million. But what matters more than her name or her father's position is what she did. 3 months ago, on August 15th, 2024, at approximately 4:30 in the afternoon, Madison was driving her vehicle, a 2024 Range Rover Sport, white in color, worth over $120,000, and she was driving it recklessly through the Elmwood neighborhood in Providence. Not just speeding. We're talking about going 70 miles per hour in a 25-mile-per-hour zone. On Cranston Street, a residential area where children play, where families walk their dogs, where elderly people cross the street to get their mail. But it gets worse. Much worse. When she was pulled over by Officer Daniel Martinez, an 18-year veteran of the Providence Police Department, she didn't show remorse. She didn't show concern. She didn't even show basic human decency. According to the police report, when Officer Martinez approached her vehicle at 4:37 p.m. and asked her if she knew why she was being pulled over, her exact words were, "Do you know who my father is? He owns half the city. I can have your badge by tomorrow morning." Judge Caprio puts the papers down and takes a breath. When I read that, I had to put these papers down and take a moment. Because those words, those arrogant, dismissive, disrespectful words, they tell me everything I need to know about what we're dealing with here. If you want to see what happens when privilege crashes headfirst into real justice, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what Judge Caprio does next will absolutely restore your faith in the legal system. Trust me, you do not want to miss where this is going. Officer Martinez remains professional. He's been doing this job for 18 years. He's dealt with difficult people before. He stays calm. He explains to Madison the serious nature of her violation. He explains that she was endangering lives. And do you know what she did? She laughed. She actually laughed in his face. Then she took out her iPhone and started recording him, saying she was going to make him famous for all the wrong reasons. Officer Martinez could have escalated that situation. He could have let his emotions get the better of him, but he didn't. He remained professional. He issued her 3 citations at 4:49 p.m. for reckless driving, excessive speeding, and creating a public hazard. And he documented everything properly. That's what good police work looks like. But Madison Thornton wasn't done, not even close. That same evening at 6:22 p.m., she goes straight to Instagram. Her account has over 47,000 followers. And she posts videos mocking Officer Martinez. She makes fun of him. She calls him names. Rent-a-cop. Power-tripping nobody. She uses her platform to try to humiliate a public servant who is simply doing his job. The caption on one post reads, "Got pulled over by the most pathetic cop ever." Another post the next morning at 10:15 a.m. says, "Seriously, this guy thinks he can mess with me." These posts go viral. One video alone receives over 12,000 views within 24 hours. Judge Caprio is reading all of this in the courtroom. The evidence is right there. Exhibit C through Exhibit G, screenshots, videos, timestamps, everything. This isn't just about speeding, the judge says. This is about someone who believes that money, that privilege, that their family name puts them above the law, above consequences, above basic human decency. He looks at the defendant. But let me continue, because the story doesn't end there. Now, most people, when they get caught doing something wrong, they learn their lesson. They feel ashamed, they apologize, they try to make things right. Not Madison Thornton. 3 days later, on August 18th, 2024, at 2:15 in the afternoon, she was caught on a Ring doorbell camera. The camera belongs to Mr. and Mrs. Richard Coleman, who live in the same Elmwood neighborhood. The video shows Madison driving recklessly again. Same white Range Rover. Same license plate. Same behavior. Same disregard for human life. Same arrogance. Judge Caprio shakes his head, as if that citation, as if that warning, as if the law itself meant nothing to her. The judge has been doing this job for 32 years, since 1992, and he's seen teenagers make stupid mistakes. He's seen young people who made bad choices but showed genuine remorse. He's seen people who came from difficult circumstances who made errors in judgment. And you know what? In many of those cases, I've shown mercy. I've given second chances. I've reduced sentences because I believe in redemption. I believe people can change. He pauses, but I also believe in accountability. Now here's where this case takes an even more disturbing turn. Madison's father, Robert Thornton, the CEO of Thornton Industries, a man whose company owns 17 commercial properties in downtown Providence, 12 residential developments across Rhode Island, and employs over 230 people, starts making moves behind the scenes. Judge Caprio reveals something shocking. Between August 20th and September 5th, I personally received 7 phone calls to my chambers. I've received 4 written letters. I've had 3 different people come to my office, city councilmen, lawyers, even the president of the Providence Chamber of Commerce, all of them suggesting the same thing. Maybe we could work something out. Maybe Madison has learned her lesson. Maybe a substantial donation to the Providence Youth Foundation or the Police Benevolent Association would be appropriate. They mentioned amounts. $50,000, $75,000. They were trying to buy her way out of consequences. Judge Caprio's voice becomes steel. Let me be crystal clear about something. I don't care how much money someone has. I don't care how many buildings they own or how many people they employ. I don't care if they're willing to donate $50,000 or $500,000. He looks directly at Robert Thornton sitting in the courtroom. Money does not buy justice in this courtroom. Influence does not buy a pass on consequences. And no amount of due. Nations or deals or backroom arrangements will change what happens here today. The courtroom is completely silent. Because here's what I think about when I look at this case. Judge Caprio's voice softens, but becomes even more powerful. I think about the families in that Elmwood neighborhood. I think about the parents who heard a car roaring down Cranston Street at 70 miles per hour and felt their hearts stop, wondering if their child was playing outside. He picks up another document. I think about 72-year-old Dorothy Henderson and her husband, Frank, 74, both retired teachers from Hope High School. They taught for 35 and 38 years, respectively. On August 15th at 4:33 p.m., they were crossing the street to visit their neighbor, and they had to jump back onto the curb because Madison Thornton couldn't be bothered to slow down. Let that sink in. 72 and 74 years old, they could have been killed. I think about 7-year-old Emma Rodriguez, who was playing in her front yard at 241 Cranston Street that day. Then Judge Caprio gets personal. His voice changes. You know, I have grandchildren. 7 beautiful grandchildren, ages ranging from 6 to 16. My youngest granddaughter, Sophia Marie, is 6 years old. And when I think about her playing in a neighborhood, when I think about her being outside enjoying a sunny day, and when I think about someone like Madison Thornton driving 70 miles per hour through that neighborhood with complete disregard for her safety, he pauses. It makes my blood run cold. It makes me realize that we're not just talking about traffic violations here. We're talking about potential tragedy. We're talking about lives that could have been lost. The prosecutor stands up. Assistant District Attorney Sarah Chen has been with the Providence District Attorney's Office for 9 years. She's handled over 327 traffic cases with an 89% conviction rate. She asked for a substantial fine of $10,000, a 2-year license suspension, 150 hours of mandatory community service, and a jail sentence of 90 days. Then the defense attorney stands. Attorney Jennifer Morrison from Morrison Legal Group. She's been practicing criminal defense law for 15 years. She's a good attorney, and she's doing her job well. She points out that Madison Thornton has no prior criminal record. She suggests that a fine of $3,000 and 80 hours of community service would be sufficient. She mentions that her client is young, that she's only 23 years old, that she graduated from Moses Brown School and Boston University with a degree in marketing and communications. She argues that a harsh sentence could damage her future career prospects. Judge Caprio listens to both arguments. He's reviewed all the evidence, the police reports, the social media posts, the Ring doorbell footage. He's considered the defendant's age, her background, everything that should be considered in a case like this. But I keep coming back to something fundamental, he says, something that I think gets lost sometimes in our legal system. He looks at Madison. We have laws for a reason. We have speed limits for a reason. We have consequences for breaking those laws for a reason. And the reason is simple: to protect people, to keep our communities safe, to ensure that everyone can live without fear of someone's reckless behavior destroying their lives. Judge Caprio stands up from his chair. You know what troubles me most about this case? It's not even the speeding, as serious as that is. It's not even the reckless endangerment. It's the attitude, it's the arrogance, it's the complete lack of understanding that her actions affect other people. Real people with real families and real lives. He picks up the Instagram posts again. When I look at the evidence in this CAC, when I read that police report from August 15th, when I see those social media posts, when I watch that Ring doorbell footage from August 18th, I see someone who has been taught, maybe not explicitly, but through experience, that consequences don't apply to them, that they can do what they want, that their family name or their father's money will always bail them out. The judge's voice drops to almost a whisper, but somehow it carries through the entire courtroom. Well, not today, not in this courtroom, not on my watch. He looks at Madison Thornton directly. The defense attorney mentioned that you have no prior criminal record. That's true, and normally that would weigh heavily in favor of leniency. He pauses, but you know what? Most 23-year-olds don't have criminal records. That's not special. That's the bare minimum of being a law-abiding citizen. Madison Elizabeth Thornton, please stand. The courtroom goes completely silent. You could hear a pin drop. Judge Caprio looks at the papers before him one more time. Then he looks up on the charge of reckless driving from August 15th, 2024, citation number 24 to 8,847. I'm sentencing you to the maximum penalty allowed under Rhode Island general law. That's 90 days in the adult correctional institutions. Madison's face goes white. Her attorney puts a hand on her shoulder. But Judge Caprio isn't finished, not even close. On the charge of attempting to intimidate a law enforcement officer under Rhode Island General Law 1137-7, I'm adding another 60 days. To be served consecutively, not concurrently. That means they stack. They don't run at the same time. Madison's father, Robert Thornton, stands up in the gallery. Judge Caprio doesn't even look at him. On the additional charge of reckless driving from the second incident on August 18th, 2024, as documented by the Ring doorbell camera, that's another 90 days. ALS. Consecutive. The defense attorney is frantically writing on her legal pad, calculating the numbers. That's a total of 240 days. 8 months. You will serve this time at the Women's Division of the Adult Correctional Institutions. But Judge Caprio keeps going. He's not done. And I'm ordering that there be no early release under the good behavior provisions, no work release program, and no special privileges or accommodations. You will serve your time like everyone else who sits in that facility. Madison is visibly shaking now. Tears are starting to form in her eyes. Your reporting date will be December 2nd, 2024 at 9 a.m. He picks up another document. In addition, I'm imposing a fine of $15,000, not the $3,000 your attorney requested. $15,000 to be paid in full within 60 days. By January 26, 2025, the hits just keep coming. That money will be divided equally into three parts. $5,000 will go to the Rhode Island Victims of Reckless Driving Fund. $5,000 will go to the Providence Public Schools Safe Streets Education Program. And $5,000 will go to support the Providence Police Department's community outreach and training programs. Madison's attorney tries to object, but Judge Caprio raises his hand. I'm also suspending your driver's license for 3 years. Not 1 year, not 2 years, 3 full years beginning today, November 27th, 2024, and ending November 27th, 2027. He looks directly at Madison. And when those 3 years are up, you will be required to retake both the written examination and the practical road test. You will be required to complete a comprehensive driver safety course of minimum 30 hours, and you will be required to perform 200 hours of community service, specifically working with mothers against drunk driving or with families of traffic accident victims at Rhode Island Hospital's Trauma Center, so you can see firsthand the real consequences of reckless driving. The gavel hasn't come down yet. There's more. Furthermore, I'm ordering that you be prohibited from operating any motor vehicle, even with someone else's permission, during the entire period of your license suspension. If you're caught driving during this time, you will face additional criminal charges and you will face a minimum of an additional 1 year of jail time. No exceptions. Judge Caprio finally sets down his papers. Now, I can see the shock on faces in this courtroom. Some of you probably think I'm being too harsh. Some of you probably think I'm not being harsh enough. He stands up from his chair. But let me tell you why I've made this decision. Madison Thornton needs to understand that her actions have consequences, real consequences, not consequences that her father's $400 million company can make go away, not consequences that her lawyers can negotiate into nothing. Real, tangible consequences that will affect her life. His voice becomes softer, almost compassionate. 8 months in the women's division is a long time. It's long enough to think. It's long enough to understand what you've done. It's long enough to hopefully emerge as a changed person. But it's not so long that it destroys someone's life. He looks at Madison directly. You'll be out by August of 2025. You'll still be 24 years old. You'll still have your whole life ahead of you. You can still go to school. You can still build a career. You can still become a productive member of society. Judge Caprio's voice strengthens again. But you needed to learn this lesson, and you needed to learn it now before your arrogance and recklessness killed someone. Because make no mistake, that's where this was heading. He turns to Officer Martinez, who's been sitting quietly in the back of the courtroom. Officer Martinez, thank you for your SE. Advice to the Providence Police Department for 18 years. Thank you for your professionalism in handling a difficult situation. Thank you for not letting Madison Thornton's behavior provoke you into doing anything that would have compromised your integrity. You are exactly the kind of police officer we need in this community. Officer Martinez nods respectfully. Judge Caprio addresses the entire courtroom now. To everyone else here, whether you're from Providence, from Rhode Island, or from somewhere else watching this case, I hope this serves as a reminder. The law applies to everyone. Justice is blind to wealth, to status, to family connections. He picks up his gavel. This court is adjourned. The defendant will be remanded into custody immediately. The gavel comes down. Madison Elizabeth Thornton is going to prison. Today, so what do you think? Was 8 months too harsh or not enough? Was Judge Caprio right to reject the father's money and influence? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments below. And if you believe that no one, absolutely no one, should be above the law, smash that like button and share this story with someone who needs to see real justice in action. Because this is what accountability looks like. Justice served. Case closed.